How has Gen Z affected the English language? Have you ever overheard a conversation peppered with unfamiliar terms like shook and extra and felt completely lost? You're not alone. Imagine English is like your favorite video game. Every generation gets to add new levels and characters, and Gen Z is just the latest player. They've added a bunch of cool slang terms like shook for super surprised and extra as way over the top. The digital natives we've grown up with smartphones have certainly added a new flavor to the English language. But fear not, language enthusiasts. It's a sign of a healthy, evolving language, and here's why you might be surprised to find these modern terms quite inoffensive. What is slang?
Slang is an informal language spoken among social norms. Slang words are not in the standard dictionary but are used to express oneself. Slang is typically used to communicate informally and a way to express themselves in a descriptive way. It is getting viewed as slothful to some people. Others sees it as a natural language evolution that evolves every year.
Why does Gen Z speak in slangs?
Imagine you and your friend made up a secret code to whisper funny message in class. That way, only you guys know what each other was saying. Slang is kind of like that for Gen Z. Reason why they use it are cool club. Slang word can feel like a secret language that make them feel like they belong to a special group. It's like having an inside joke with their friends. Shorten. Sometimes slang is shorter and faster than regular words. Saying sus instead of suspicious is way quicker, especially when texting with friends. Ever changing, just like trends in clothes and video game, slang keep things fresh. New words pop up all the time, keeping their ways of talking fun and interesting. Online world. With the internet, slang spread like wildfire. A funny term used in a video game can become popular with Gen Z worldwide in a flash. Of course, regular language is important too. An adult might not understand all the slang, but that's okay. Slang is just another way for Gen Z to express themselves and connect with their peers.
How does Gen
Slang, it is not bad per se, it's just a reflection of the time that we're living in. But there is a time and place to use slang, right? So we have certain contexts that we know we cannot be using slang, right? But it is not bad, it's just something that happens organically with the development of time. So no, it's not bad for the language at all.
Languages change all the time. If you have your doubts, take a look at Latin, what happened to it. You have minimum 5 languages coming from one single one. That will always bring society and speakers to a point where they will be experiencing some conflict. If you have your doubts, just take a look at the word villain. It was villain. The word villain, the bad guy of the movie, at the beginning of when they started using that word as something negative, it was because in ancient times, people that were coming from villages, the name was villain, the person that lives in a village. And they started, some of those guys in Europe, they started raiding towns around. And only then that word villain became a word to name someone that behaves like that, someone that raids, someone that causes damage. New word, resistance, spread, then normalize.
Gen Z communicate using slangs?
Gen Z slang is like a whole other dialect, but fear not, it actually isn't that hard. It's about the vibe. Gen Z slang is all about creating a specific mood or feeling. Words like bussin', amazing, shook, surprise, and extra paint a vivid picture with minimal syllables. Memes are the Rosetta Stone. Many slang terms are born from online culture and memes. Big mood expresses strong agreement, and yeet signifies throwing something. Staying in the loop on memes helps decipher the latest slang. Abbreviations reign supreme. Shortened versions like GOAT, meaning greatest of all time, and SMH, meaning shaking my head, dominate online communication. Texting speed is key. Redefining the classics. Gen Z takes existing words and flips them on their head. Fire, which now means awesome, and salty describes someone who's bitter. Old things become new again. Words like low-key and fleek, which is on point, have resurfaced with a Gen Z twist. Keep an ear out for retro slang making a comeback.
Slang isn't born in one specific place. It's more like a cultural melting pot. Here's the breakdown. The online incubator, which is the internet, is a breeding ground for slang. Funny terms from memes, gaming communities, or even niche social media groups can spread like wildfire. A hashtag can become a slang term, or a funny abbreviation can take on a life of its own. Social circles and subcultures. Languages evolves within groups of people who share experiences. Might flourish among skaters with different terms compared to gamers. These words spread within the group and can eventually hit the mainstream, evolve from existing language. Slang often takes inspiration from everyday words and twists them. Play and creativity. Humans are naturally playful with languages. Rhyming slangs, puns, and abbreviation all contribute to the development of slang. While the internet accelerates the spread of slang, it's really a collaborative effort. Slang, it emerges from the shared experience, humor, and wordplay within different online and offline communities.
So, in response to the question on what my opinion about social media affecting language and how language is changing over time, I think that social media has made language much more simpler, and we have introduced more archaic terms than we previously used. Social media has allowed us to explore language in depths that we previously didn't have access to. You would have to go to a library to understand a language in the manner that we have access to today. Social media gives us access to a variety of viewpoints, a variety of registers. It allows us to connect with different audiences. And I think through that, language has changed in a way where we're reusing more old things, we're introducing old terms, but also while introducing new things. And I think that's a good thing for language. Languages around the world, some are dying, but through things like social media, we can keep it alive. We can continue its legacy. So I think social media is a good thing for languages in general. However, it is accelerating the pace that they develop and they evolve.
Local and global perspectives.
Gen Z slang has also affected the world globally. It changes constantly. Language evolves throughout history, and Gen Z slang is just the latest chapter. Like previous generation, Gen Z invades new words and expressions to reflect their experience and the world around them. Technology's influence, social media, and the internet act as breeding grounds for slang. New terms spread quickly across borders, creating a more globalized form of slang. Understanding the gap. Slang can be confusing for older generations, creating a communication barrier. This is a global phenomenon, not just a general one. Slang staying in power. Some slang sticks around and becomes part of mainstream English. Words like bae and selfie originated as slang, but are now widely understood.
Gen Z using slang have definitely made an impact on the English language. Both positively and negatively, there are side effects to both of them. Some pros are that slangs keep the language fresh and reflect the current culture climate. New words and expressions pop up to describe new experience and ideas. Slang can be a marker of belonging. Shared slang terms create a feeling of in-group connections among Gen Z. Some negative sides are like adults might not understand all the slang, kind of like getting stuck on a hard level in a game. Time and place. Using slang in schoolwork is like using a game trick in the wrong place. It's important to know when to use proper English and when to use slang. Losing details. Slang words can sometimes be vague, like using just one emoji to express yourself. The best way to express yourself is by using clear words and full sentences. The big takeaway is that language is like a living thing, and Gen Z is just adding a new chapter. Slang can be fun and creative, but it's important to be mindful of the context and audience when using it. Striking a balance between slang, informal language, and formal communication is key. Some solutions to solve this are to be adaptive, learn the lingo. The key is to be flexible, use slang with friends, but maintain a proper English in formal settings. Bridge the gap. Use slang with friends, but proper English in schoolwork and grown-ups. It's like using different tools depending on the situation. Be clear. Even if you're using slang, make sure your message is understood. Just like a good game, clear communication is key.